Guy with us now who doesn't really have a lot to prove right now, at least not in the eyes of fans, delivering on an amazing game, an Armageddon battle that had us all on the edge of our seats. Take us through it. Your thoughts, Hikaru. It was a wild ride in the end with a scramble, but overall you got it done against Magnus, and what can you say about what just went down?
Yeah, well, I would say that I'm actually more annoyed now because when I was on the other broadcast, I realized that the line that I chose not to play towards the end of the scramble was actually winning. So I'm a little bit annoyed about my technique from the Armageddon game, but I think in general I got a pretty good position in that one, and I think I controlled my nerves and I used my time very well. So pretty happy with the result. The way I got it wasn't great, but that's Armageddon.
Do you mind taking us through that line? Was it King F1, or what was the line? What David's going to pull up the board.
When I played this G3 D2, it was to play King F1, and then I just panicked. I thought Knight D5 was playable, but I can play Rook D2, Knight E3, King E1, and I think it's winning because there are no good checks basically. Yeah, this is just stupid. It's just winning. It's just over. Like Knight C2, King D1, Knight E3, King C1, Knight G2, King D1. I mean, pretty terrible. So yeah, this is just simply winning, and then like I thought, so like when I decided I couldn't go King F1, then I played Queen B4, and this allows Rook D4, and then I'm still better, but actually the problem is, as I started to realize during the game, Magnus can basically get this. Actually, wait, I took on D2, right? Yeah, I took on D2. As I realized during the game, Magnus can try to sack the knight for the 2 pawns on the queen side and just make a draw. So I kind of had to start playing for the cheese at some point, and. Yeah, I mean, he definitely misplayed it when he let me get this king to the king side. I still thought I had a chance to win here, by the way. But yeah, he played somewhere around here when he let my king get to F4. I think that's when it's fine and he shouldn't be losing. But now there are tricks that exist. I think if he had kept the king like on E7 and E6, F6 and just put the rook on A6, I don't really know what I'm doing there. But once he let me get the king to F4, and then I got this H4, H5, it starts getting really, really tricky. And he was too low on time, and he ended up flagging when all was said and done.
Did you allow Rook takes G3 in that final position where Magnus flagged purposely to make him think a little bit and question the Rook takes G3? Maybe you have F4 in the line, or what were you? Did you play?
Actually, I just blundered. I thought I had Rook C5. I thought I could sack the Rook King B6 at the end. No, that's just a blunder by me. That's pretty terrible too.
When you played King H5, it gave him pause, so we thought maybe there was a part of that. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. I see. That's like when I accidentally was a genius last year against Mamedyarov in the Armageddon game, where I was supposed to take something, I didn't take it, and then he couldn't reach and get the queen. that was by accident. Like that was just accidental, although it was brilliant in some kind of weird way. But yes, this was simply Yeah, it's the same kind of accidental brilliance because you have to reach and grab the pawn. I mean, it's like one of these games that you play in Washington Square Park when you're like 10 years old, and you play one of these African-American guys, and like they try to block your hand, or they do something, and you can't play the move, and you run out of time, and you owe them like $20. It kind of reminds me of, but yeah, so that was just a blunder. I thought I had Rook C5, but I don't. So
well, I want to go back. Maybe this wasn't brilliant, playing King H5 and causing Magnus pause with Rook G5 check.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? It's like when you go to reach and they put their arm out and they
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a classic park trick, right? Yes, they make it difficult, or in some cases, people literally take the queen and don't give it to you if you need it. But I do want to go back to the game because, yes, okay, maybe this wasn't brilliant in the end, but it did cause Magnus to lose on time. But you had some brilliant moves in this game. In fact, the preparation, we have to go back to this line where you allowed knight takes d4 and played bishop to g6. I don't want you to reveal any more than you need to at home, but we were pretty hyped at this point and singing your praises in terms of what you had clearly brought to the board with a 4-minute time advantage against Magnus Carlsen. What can you tell us about this line that worked so well?
Yeah, I mean, Magnus has played this bishop g4 line. The queen's gambit declined a few times, so I was vaguely aware of it. I think in general, the good thing is since I don't actually play every tournament under the sun, I can show some of these ideas because I don't have to play again for a long time. That helps. If I had to go play like a Grand Chess Tour or some of these events that I'm sure Fabiano is playing, for example, I almost certainly would not have played this in the Armageddon game. But yeah, I think Magnus actually just, he assumed that I blundered a pawn, and he was wrong because after rook f8, bishop f2, black's in a lot of trouble. And he also missed this very nice tactic with was it knight f4? It took me a second to spot it, but he missed it. And yeah, this queen b3 is really nasty, actually. I think it more or less just wins the game for white. And he just missed the tactic. I mean, maybe he didn't see rook d6, maybe he thought rook e8, but then there's queen d5. But after knight f4, rook d6, it's just completely winning for white. So yeah, I mean, it should have been very smooth. Obviously, I messed it up, but I got what I wanted for sure.
Magnus doesn't lose in Armageddon that often. In fact, we were talking about the stats, but you got the job done here in Armageddon, showing that the preparation can get it done. Did you have this opening ready in case you got an Armageddon battle against Magnus? I mean, we can see the stats there just because he tends to like that format. You've said earlier in the event that you're not necessarily a huge fan of Armageddon, but you've chosen some really great approaches. You beat Fabiano with black in what felt like just really a dialed-in approach. Here with Magnus, a very dialed-in approach. So what can you tell us about your thoughts and what you're putting into the openings you're choosing in this tiebreaker?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just try to play good chess. But on the other hand, when you play principled, like I did yesterday, it was just a poor choice, and I just got steamrolled by Fabiano. So, I mean, I think the openings, if you make the right choice, you look like a genius, but it's very easy to make the wrong choice and look like a complete fool, like I did yesterday. So, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that went into it. I just did not expect Magnus to repeat, so it's one of those things that I kind of had ready to play against anybody.
Okay.
Did you expect him to play what he played in the classical game? Because I was wondering, you went into the confessional and talked about some of those lines. How happy or unhappy were you with his choice in classical?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, twice I've been right and once I've been wrong. So, what's the first? There was an early one where I was right. Who repeated or didn't repeat? Ali Reza. Yeah, I think Ali Reza didn't repeat against me. He played one thing in the classical game, then he changed it up. Or maybe Fabiano was only the second one, but I basically thought Fabiano would not play the same thing, and then he did, and of course it went very badly. But I sort of thought Magnus would not play the same thing. So when it comes down to whether you think they're going to play the same thing, and in the 10 minutes whether you try to prepare something if they repeat the classical game. And I had a feeling Magnus would change it up, and he did. So yeah, it worked out.
And Hikaru, you've narrowed the gap to Magnus. We heard you in the confessional talk about how he has 2 whites in the last 3 rounds. You have 2 blacks. What's going to be your strategy there to try and close the gap, overtake him?
I mean, it's very hard to know. I think, I mean, the one advantage I have is that I still have to play Ding, I think, with the white pieces. That's if you picked anyone in the term to have white against, that's probably the player I want to have white against. At the end, I think in general, it's just try to play good chess. I do feel that the 2 remaining games I have with the black piece against Alireza and Prague, they're very ambitious players, and I do think that Alireza is going to win today, which is going to definitely boost his confidence. So I expect a fight tomorrow, and if I play well, good things will happen. If I don't, bad things will happen. So it's actually really straightforward.
You are within half a point, I guess, to Magnus, as you pointed out. It's going to come down to whether you play well and have fun. Do you mind giving us your opinions on the 2 games that are still in action before you leave?
Yeah, so actually, the more I look at... So Fabi's game, he's doing horribly. I mean, basically, as I said in the other broadcasts, all these lines where white sacks on g5, I feel like white's always getting d4 and f4. Almost always in the variations where white's doing well, you're getting d4, f4. Fabiano hasn't gotten either of these moves in. f4 is not playable. d4, I think, isn't playable here. And after queen f3, knight h7, followed by king f8, I mean, it just looks to me like black is simply winning here. So this does not look good at all for Fabiano. I think there's a very good chance that he's going to lose this game. A very, very good chance, I would say.
And were you surprised on the other board that Prague went for the same line that Fabiano did against you back in round 2, but spent a lot of time on the clock? So either maybe somehow missed that game or didn't know exactly where he wanted to try to improve on Fabiano's play. But Ding Liren was very happy to get this line and seems to be in a pretty good spot here.
But I mean, this is all very confusing because both players use a lot of time. This is not a situation where Ding blitzed out every move like I did against Fabiano. If Ding was blitzing every move up to that point, that would make sense. But neither player was blitzing out the moves. So I'm a little bit confused at exactly what was going on. I mean, my personal view is that probably Ding came with his preparation and he's just not doing anything else besides that. He's just going to trust his preparation. He's not looking close at the details, and he just shows up and plays. So that part I understand from Ding's perspective. From Prague's perspective, I'm also a little confused as to why he spent so much time. Honestly, as I look at the position now, it's very, very hard to judge. I think that Prague is a little bit better, if I had to guess here, just because of the 2 bishops. And it doesn't look to me so obvious how black can't get the rook to f8, and e3 probably doesn't work here. So if you don't have those obvious ideas, I mean, maybe there's rook e8 followed by e3. I could see that making some sense. Actually, I think that's probably the best try, because otherwise white's going to go a5, a6. And I think that long-term, white probably will be a little bit better. So that one has a long way to go.
Okay. That's pretty interesting evaluation there. Yeah, it's very different. Fabiano played f3 against you, right? And this is a completely different structure than what you got there. So
well, I mean, without f3, I mean, it can look kind of dangerous to play, but also if you have time to prepare, I think it's completely fine what Prague did. So okay. I mean, I don't know. I think that game, is going to depend a lot on the clock. It's going to depend a lot on who's able to move quickly at the critical moments. I think if they get into a scramble, that'll give Pragg a big advantage because he's such a great rapid player specifically. So I think if they get low on time, that's going to be Pragg will probably get huge chance to win this game. It's a matter of whether Ding can kind of figure it out before then. Although it looks like Pragg's down half an hour, so time probably won't come into play.
All right. Well, this was awesome. This was an awesome day. It's always disappointing for us as commentators. We're just going to share, we often refer to you as our fourth commentator in the crew downstairs, visiting the confessional booth pretty consistently. We enjoy it. So it's disappointing.
What do you want me to say?
You don't have to say anything. I'm just saying.
Happy or make them angry? I mean, there's no in between.
It's disappointing when you leave early because we missed your visits to the booth. So
yeah, I mean, I would say though that it is great to see someone like Pragg doing that specifically because he does represent a new generation. He's one of the young kids, and to see him kind of doing that, perhaps someone who could be more accessible and be more communicative in general, I think could be good for the future. So I'm actually quite happy to see that Pragg's doing that because I think when you look towards the future, I mean, sure, I'll be around a few more years. Magnus and Fabi probably will be, but these kids are the future of the game. So I'm really happy to see that Pragg is doing that here, and I think the future's bright, especially for the Indians.
Yeah.
Do you think the confessional booth should be a feature at more events, more super tournaments?
I mean, I think the thing is, some people feel comfortable speaking in English. Some people don't. I mean, maybe there's a way to do it in your own native tongue, obviously. I think that's probably a more practical idea if you want to do it in a more serious way, because not everybody speaks English well. And they're going to feel very nervous and awkward anyway. So that might be the way that you do it. I think still, most people probably prefer not to. I think a lot of people are still part of the older generation. The thoughts are, you try to focus only on the game. You don't want to do all these gimmicky sort of things. But I think on one hand, it actually can sort of make you more relaxed and sort of enjoy it more. And also, I think sometimes talking out loud can be a good thing. Like, I think Pragg, unfortunately, he was lost against me when I found this line, but he noticed the blunder when he started talking out loud. I'm not sure he would have noticed that otherwise. So there might be something to it that it could be beneficial.
We certainly agree. It's definitely beneficial for the fans. And, yeah, we saw that same clip from Prague in real time. So, well, Hikaru, this is awesome. Despite the fact that we are going to miss you for the rest of the round, we wish you congratulations, of course, for getting the job done in Armageddon. A little revenge, I guess, from losing to Magnus earlier in the event in Armageddon. But
you guys are overhyping it. I mean, you're overhyping it.
You guys made it hype. It was awesome. When you guys play, it does tend to deliver. So this was a lot of fun, and thank you for joining us.
Sure, no problem.
All right. Well, there you go, everybody. That was Hikaru Nakamura, who did beat Magnus Carlsen in the Armageddon, and it was hype. It was crazy. It was a time scramble that had us on the edge of our seats, and it is now kind of a two-horse race between Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura here in Norway.